Hi everyone and welcome to the FTO tutorial for beginners. As I am recording this, FTO has just been announced a new WCA event, which is why you might want to try it. Also, it's just a really fun puzzle to solve. I made the tutorial in Polish some time ago, and many people told me it was good, so I decided to make an English version now. Enjoy! Firstly, I want to talk about what types of pieces we have on the FTO. There are corners, of course, on each vertex, and corners each have 4 colors. There are also these edge pieces, each having 2 colors. And there are these pieces that we will call triangles. We can see that on each face we have exactly 3 triangles of the same color. The solve starts with making a white center, which consists of 3 edges and 3 triangles. It is very important though that these edges are in the exact order of first blue, then red, and then purple in the clockwise order. In order to make such center, we are going to build 2 trapezoids. One is a big trapezoid, which consists of 2 edges and a triangle between them. The small trapezoid is 1 edge and 2 triangles next to it. Once these trapezoids are built, we can just connect them, and this makes our first center. We will start with the big trapezoid, and firstly we want to find a pair of an edge with a corresponding triangle. Here we have such pair. It is purple edge with its triangle, and now we need to think which edge comes next to this triangle. So we remember our order of colors, and to the left of purple is red. So we want to find the red edge, which is here, and now doing this move we can connect them. Now with the remaining edge we want to make a small trapezoid, so we want to connect to this edge these 2 triangles. Notice that you can easily move this triangle to this face by doing this move. However, in that case we won't connect it to the edge. However, we can rotate it down here, and now if we do this move, we will connect it to this edge. The next triangle belongs down here. So let's first rotate the pair like that, so that now we can use this L move to connect the triangle to the pair. Now we just need to connect the trapezoids, and the first center is done with the right order of colors. Let's see another example. Here we don't have any pair already built, so we need to make one. For example, with this triangle and this edge, just connect it like that. And now we need to think what comes to the right of red, and it is of course purple, so we need to find a purple edge, which is here, and again we want to connect the pair to the edge by rotating the edge here and then doing this move. Now we want to make the small trapezoid with this blue edge, of course, but notice that it is stuck next to this big trapezoid, so let's move it out like that. And now we want to connect the triangles to the edge. Notice that this triangle can easily go here with just one move, and then the other triangle is going to this place, so let's rotate the pair like that, and then move the triangle here. Again, we have 2 trapezoids, now just connect them, and again we have a fully correct white center. Building the first center is an intuitive step, so I can't really show a solution to every case. However, if you remember about these 2 main ideas, building 2 trapezoids and connecting them, and of course the correct order of colors, you won't have problem with building it yourself. The next step is making first 2 triples. A triple is something like that. It's a corner with 2 opposite triangles attached to it. We want to make 2 such triples and insert them into the white layer. In this step we will hold the white center to the left, and we will use the right face to move the corners and connect them to the triangles in the middle layer. example, now we can move this corner up here so that it connects to the blue triangle. The first half of the triple is done. Now we need to connect the purple triangle here. The problem is now we can't use the arm moves because we will disconnect this blue triangle. So we need to first rotate this triple so that this pair lands on the right side. We are going to do it like this. Now you can see that the blue pair is on the right. So again, we can use the arm moves to move our corner. Now we need to find the purple triangle in the middle slice, but we can see that it isn't there. So we need to move one into the middle layer. For example, we can find one purple triangle here on the left, and by doing this move, we can bring it to the middle layer. However, by doing that, we also brought our pair to the left, so we need to avoid that. First, we are going to move the pair out of the way to the back, like that. And now we can freely move this triangle to the middle layer and then bring the pair and connect them. When the triple is done, we just need to move it to its slot on the left. Here, just do this U move and the triple is solved. Now we're going to build our next triple with this corner. So we're going to find the red triangle, and here it is. We have our pair done. So now we need to rotate this triple so that this pair lands on the right side. Let's do this like that. And now we want to build a blue pair. But again, we don't have any blue triangle in the middle layer. So let's use this one. First, we need to bring our pair to the back so that it doesn't get in the way when we want to bring the triangle. And now let's do this U prime move. The triangle is in the middle layer, so now we can connect the pair to the triangle and insert them like that. And the step is complete. The next step is building the next three centers. So gray, orange and green. What's very important, we don't care about these colors adjacent to white. So purple, red and blue, they are not important here. We only care about these colors between them. So these three colors, orange, green and gray. And here, again, each of these centers has its own color scheme. So we need to remember the color pattern for each center. But there's an easy way to remember that. If we look at these two colors, their order is opposite than what was on the white center. So here we have red and purple, and on the white center it was first red and then purple. So here it is the opposite, first purple, then red, in the clockwise order. And between them is of course the yellow piece. Similarly, for example, on the gray center, we have first red and then blue, because on the white center it was first blue, then red, and of course yellow is here. The process of building these centers will be very similar to what we've done with the white center, but we have more restrictions when it comes to the moves. For example, the white center needs to stay on the left, and we can't do any moves that will break it. Also, we can't do any moves that will break our triples that we've built. So that's why we have this empty slot, so that we can do the U moves here. If we want to move a different layer, then we have to first bring the empty slot here, and now we can do a move with this layer. So let's start, for example, with a gray center. We want to make a big trapezoid, and here we already have a pair with a blue edge. And so let's think about what comes next to it. So on the white center, to the right of blue was red, so here it will not be red, instead it will be the other color, which is yellow. So let's connect the pair to the edge. First we want to bring that yellow edge down here, so that when we do this move, they will connect. But before we do that, let's ensure that here is our empty slot. Okay, so now we can do this move, and the edge is down here, so we can connect the pair, and we have our big trapezoid, and we want to bring it to the left, so that now we can easily move the right layer, and we will not break it. So now let's make a small trapezoid with the remaining edge. So first, let's bring that triangle down, so that we have a pair, and now we want to rotate it like that, so that we can attach another triangle here. So here it is, let's move it here and down here, and the small trapezoid is done. Just bring it down to build the whole center. Now the last thing we want to do is to rotate this center so that the yellow is on the right. It's because the right side of the cube will be yellow, so we want to orient all the centers right away, like that. The next center on top of gray will be orange, and here it will be a little more difficult, because we need to remember that we want to preserve this gray center. So let's move it to the back, like that, and now we will use these two faces to build the next center. So let's make the big trapezoid first. We can use this blue pair and this purple edge down here. You may ask why we can't use this trapezoid, and it's because it's on the top layer and we want to make the center here. And notice that you can't really bring this trapezoid down here. Any move you make, you're going to break it. That's why we need to make the trapezoid right away here on the front face, and not on the top. So we can, for example, use this pair and this purple edge to build the big trapezoid, like that, and move it to the left. And now remember that we did an R prime move here, so we need to return with an R move so that the gray center is restored. So the big trapezoid is done. Now we want to make the small trapezoid, so we want to connect this pair and this triangle. Now notice that if this triangle was down here, we could use an R move to connect it to the pair. But it's on the top, so we can do that. So we need to use a little trick. Let's move this pair to the right side. So now we can do an R move to bring the triangle here, move it like that, and now if we go down, the pair is still there, and the triangle is down here. Move the pair here, bring the triangle up here, move it to the right, and the small trapezoid is done. And the center is done, the yellow is on the right, it's okay, and the green one completed by itself. So now we just need to rotate it so that yellow is on the right. And all three centers are done. Now there is one case that I want to talk about, when we want to finish our last two centers. So the gray is already done, we have our big trapezoid too, so now it's only the small one left. Let's do it like that. We can move this pair up, move it to the left, and now the trapezoid is done. But actually it's a trap, because if we try to move this trapezoid down, we can't do it like that, because we will break our gray center. And there's actually no good method to bring it down here any other way. Notice that whatever move you do, you will break the trapezoid. That's why we always need to make sure that the trapezoid doesn't get on the top. We need to first make the pair on the top, and if the triangle is down here, we can connect them and break the gray center. Then we can bring the trapezoid to the right, and by inserting it, we are restoring the gray center. So now everything is okay. From now, we are going to hold the white side on the bottom, and the next step is to build the third triple. But we can't do it the same way we did the first two, because we would break our centers, which we have just built. So let's learn our first very simple algorithm, which is hedge. So hold the cube like that, with a corner in front. This is very important. So not like that, with a face in front, but like that. And the moves are R, B prime, R prime, B. And notice that this algorithm doesn't break anything that we've already built. So the centers are okay, white center is okay, of course. So what does this algorithm actually do? So it flips the triples that are here on the top layer. To be precise, it flips the one on the front and the one on the right, while the one on the left stays in its orientation. So let's look at this corner as an example. Notice it has red on top and purple on bottom, and the triangles are blue on top and red on bottom. So now if we do the algorithm from here, it should get flipped. So let's look. Okay, now we find the corner is here, and notice it has now red on front and purple on top, and the triangles are also reversed. And now if we do the algorithm from here, then notice that this corner is on the left, so after doing the algorithm, it should stay in the same orientation. And notice we still have it in the same orientation. Before we see how we can use this algorithm to form a triple, let's see this case where our corner is already in the bottom layer, so we need to first move it up to the top layer. We can't do it just like that, because we would misorient the center. So let's do something different. First, bring the corner up, then hide it in the adjacent slot like that. Then again restore the green center and move the corner back up, and it's on the top. And once the corner is on top, we can start building the triple. Similarly to how we did the first two triples, we are going to match these triangles. So these triangles in the middle layer. So let's find a purple one, because we have purple color here. And notice that when we do the U moves, we are breaking the centers. But actually, there will always only be one U move away from being solved, so it doesn't really matter. We can fix them at the end. We can see that unfortunately, we don't have any purple triangles here, so we are going to use one of these triangles from the top layer. In order to bring them to the middle layer, we are going to use the hedge algorithm. So we don't want to flip this corner because it has purple pointing downwards. So if we want to match it with a triangle in the middle layer, it needs to stay that way. And at least one of these triangles needs to be flipped so that it goes to the middle layer. For example, this one here. So now we are going to do the hedge from the right angle. So this one has to stay and this one has to be flipped. So let's hold it like that. Because remember, when we do the hedge, this one stays oriented and these two get flipped. So let's now do the hedge. And now we can see that the corner is still pointing with the purple downwards, and here we have our purple triangle, so we can do this U move, and now they are connected. The problem is, now we can't really do any U moves, because we would break this pair. So we need to somehow put it on the top. So of course we will again use the hedge algorithm. So it is in the front, so after we do the hedge, it should get flipped. So let's do that. And now we can see that the pair is here on top, and we just need to connect the red triangle now. So let's try to find it. And here we are lucky. It already is in the middle layer, so we have our full triple. Now we only need to insert it into its slot. So first, let's bring the slot here so that it's under the triple, like that. Now we can see that it would actually fit, but we can't just do that move because we would break the centers. So let's do something like that. Put this triple in the adjacent slot, so to the right, then bring up the slot, then again bring up the pair, the triple, and now we can finish like that. And the whole white layer is done. Now we can, but we don't have to, fix the centers. It doesn't really matter right now. Now the only thing left is these 3 triples. There is one tricky case in this step. So we already have one pair and we want to find the purple triangle. So let's look for it in the middle layer, and it isn't there. And if we look at the top layer, there are no purple triangles either. And both of them are actually in the slot already. So that's a problem because we can't do any hedges to somehow bring them up. So we are going to do a similar thing to when we wanted to bring up the corner, which was there. So first we want to ensure that our corner, our pair, is here on the left so that it doesn't break. And now let's move it here, then down to the adjacent slot and reverse these moves, and the pair is preserved and the triangle is already here in the middle layer, so we have our triple ready. Now let's just insert it like before, move to the adjacent slot, put the slot up and finish. The next step is pseudo-pair formation. So a pseudo-pair is when we have a corner and a non-yellow color is connected to a non-yellow triangle. So for example, this is not a pseudo-pair because it has yellow, but this is a pseudo-pair. This also is a pseudo-pair. So we want to make 3 such pseudo-pairs. Let's begin with this one. It's a good point to start. And we want to preserve it on the top layer. So of course, we want to use our algorithm. If we do hedge from this angle, we'll bring this pair up. And we can see it up here. So now let's make another pair. With this thread, we can connect it like that with the purple triangle. And again, we want to bring this pair up. But now we need to be more careful, because not only we have to bring it up, we want to preserve this pair. So we don't want it to be flipped. So now we need to do the algorithm from the right angle. Let's rotate the cube like that. So now this pair will be preserved because it is on the left, and this one will get flipped and land on the top layer. And now we can see both pairs on top. So now let's find the third pair, and here it is. So we have 3 pairs ready. And now we don't really want to bring this one up, because we can't do that without breaking these 2 pairs. So now the step is complete. There's one special case. So we already have 2 pairs ready, and we want to make the third one. So we want to find a non-yellow triangle, but we can't. All the triangles in the middle layer are yellow. So now, in order to solve that, we want to break one of our pairs. So this one we want to preserve, so it has to be on the left, and this one we don't care about it, we just do the hedge from here. Now we can see this pair is preserved while the other one is here. So now we can do the same thing. If we try to again bring this pair up, we will end up with the same exact case. So we need to change something. If building this pair leads to a bad case, then notice that maybe we can pair it with another triangle, like that. And now, if we do the hedge from the right angle, so from here, because we want to preserve this pair, and bring up this pair, notice that it is no longer this bad case. We can form our third pair, and everything is okay. Now the next step is to finish the top layer. So the only thing that will be left after this step is these triangles in the middle layer. This step is pretty easy. We have three cases, and we need to first put these two pairs on the right, and we will recognize the cases by this right face. So here we have matching colors here on the front, so we need to do hedge. If matching colors are on the back, then we want to do a sledge. A sledge is an algorithm that you may know from Cube, for example. Here we do the exact same thing. So R prime, L, R, L prime. And the third case is when there are no matching colors. So then we want to rotate the cube back so that the pairs are on the back. And we do first hedge and then sledge. And the last thing we have to do is to solve these triangles in the middle layer. Again, we have three cases. The first one is when this triangle is solved and these two need to swap. And we are going to use an algorithm which you may already know because it is used in OLL for 3x3. It's this case. And now we are going to do the same algorithm on the FTO. So we need to first put the yellow face on the left, and these two triangles are going to be in a specific place. One is on the front and the other one here on the back. And we are going to do the algorithm like that. These are going to be the U moves. This is the R move, and this layer is the middle layer. So it is used for M and white R moves. The next case is when all three triangles are not solved and they need to go in the clockwise order. So we can see this blue one needs to go here, purple here, and red here. And now the yellow face is going to be in the front, and these are going to be the U moves, R moves, and M moves. And the algorithm looks like that. And the last case is, of course, when, again, all three triangles are not solved, but now they need to go counterclockwise. So again, hold the yellow face in front, and again we have U moves, R moves, and M moves. And the algorithm goes like this. And it seems like it's the end of the tutorial. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. Also, let me know if you like this tutorial, and maybe I will make more in the future. Enjoy your solving, and goodbye.